If you want to know about Little League Baseball, if you want to know about high school sports, the guy we've got with us this morning, he's a walking encyclopedia. Ray McDiarmid joins us this morning. Ray, good morning to you and Happy New Year.
Good morning, Happy New Year to you, Jimmy Dale.
Appreciate you being with us. And, you know, you were around at the inception of this Little League program,
right.
and there was an article that was written Thursday, April 22nd, 1954. And I'm just going to read a little clip of it. It says, "Springtime is baseball time, and Little League and baseball time in Sylacauga means Little League." And I guess that's the case, isn't it?
That's right, Jimmy Dale.
How did you get involved in this, and how did Sylacauga get started with Little League?
Okay, let's start off with define what Little League ball really is.
That'd be a good idea.
Okay. It's a regular baseball game with rules and requirements altered to meet the capabilities of a young boy 12 years or younger. The fields are smaller, the games are for 6 innings, and there's rules to protect the young arms.
When Little League started, and we're not able to show some of these pictures because we need to work on them a little bit, but some of these pictures go back to 1954 and 1953. The thing kind of got rolling in 1952. How did that all come about?
Well, I was at the tennis court back in the summer of '52. Mr. K.V. Rayfield stopped by and picked up Wayne Ham and a couple of other boys, along with two of his boys, and they went to Attic City to see a Little League game. They had just started their league. And Mr. Rayfield had read about it in a magazine and seen reels of it, but it had started in Williamsport, Pennsylvania in 1939 with 3 teams. 12 boys on each team, but it mushroomed from there in the United States and then went worldwide.
You were telling me that they had tryouts that first year.
Oh,
how many people were involved?
We had 400 boys.
Wow.
400 boys, Jimmy Dale, tried out. And we had 16. We had enough boys for 16. And let's see if
that's a lot of kids, 400 kids.
Okay, we had the Cubs managed by Coach Bill Harris. We had the Athletics managed by Coco Barton, coach at Homer.
Yeah.
We had the White Sox managed by Squib McEwen. We had the Cardinals managed by Harry Appleby, a former cracker catcher. Knew a lot about baseball. Had the Red Sox managed by Lefty Boykin, and they had the Yankees managed by Mac Chappell. And let me give you the sponsors who really helped us out get it started. The Cardinals were sponsored by Sylacauga Fertilizer. The Red Sox were sponsored by First Methodist Church. Arnold Hardware, City Tire, Sokol sponsored the White Sox. The Yankees were sponsored by the Sylacauga Police Department. The Cubs were sponsored by St. Jude Catholic Church. And the Athletics were sponsored by Avondale Mills.
That's amazing. That is amazing how these sponsors got on board back in the early 50s to be a part of Little League Baseball. And actually, it started where it is now, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the same field.
Don't look now like it did then. Oh, my
goodness, it wasn't nothing but a bare field when it started.
As we continue, we're going to talk about the first 8-10 years of Little League Baseball. I think it's so important that people know the history of Little League Baseball, and Ray McDiarmid does. Some of the names that were involved in the early going in Little League Baseball here in Sylacauga.
Oh, well, we'll start with the first president, K.V. Rayfield, who really got it going. Then we had Mr. Leon Archer, Mr. Curtis Lyles, and managers, Buddy Peters, Grady Baker, Bud Miner. Yeah, I could go on and on. Mac Chappell, Gene Roberts.
Wow. 1953, the first year that Sylacauga played in Little League Baseball, the organization. Talk a little bit about that year.
Oh, yeah, okay. The first batter was Harold Brooks to start off our Little League. Harold Brooks for the Yankees.
The Boys Club guy?
That's him.
Wow.
Yeah, Harold Brooks. And let's see. Well, the first year, the dominant team was the Cubs, coached by Coach Bill Harris. And, you know, he had stacked his team with prospects.
That's the way you do it, man.
Oh, my goodness. He had ball players everywhere.
Did they draft during that time?
Yeah, they had draft, pick them out, but he knew more about kids. You know, he'd been around. He stacked his team. And they were, the Cubs were the dominant team. The first 2 years, they lost one game. One game in 2 years.
Yeah.
Wayne Ham.
Yeah. Is that true about that home run he hit?
Well, I don't know, Jimmy Dale, but they say he hit one that hit a railroad car and wound up in Columbus, Georgia.
But he could stroke a baseball, couldn't
oh, my goodness. He had an arm. He was big, strong. Well, he was twice the size of most of those little leaguers.
You told me something about him that certainly I didn't know, and probably a whole lot of people don't know or remember. But the first part of the season, he hit mammoth home runs.
Oh, yeah, 15, 16 home runs. Last part of the season, they wouldn't pitch to
I don't blame him. Put him on.
Oh, yeah.
Ray McDiarmid, our guest this morning. We're talking about the early years of Little League Baseball. What about the minister who pitched a no-hitter?
Oh, that was Dr. Robert...
Albert Pike.
Albert Pike, yeah. Well, what a player, what a player. Man, he was a competitor, boy.
Now, he was physically handicapped as well.
Oh, he
right?
was handicapped, yeah. He was one leg was a little smaller than the other, but boy, what a competitor. What a player.
Is that the first no-hitter that we had?
It was the first no-hitter of that year. I don't know if they had one the previous year or not.
Yeah.
But, man, I remember, I think he struck out around 13 players, no hit, no runs. I believe it was the Red Sox, 19-0.
That first year, 1953, Sylacauga, the team from Sylacauga, the all-star team, played on in the playoffs, right?
Oh, yeah. We won our first game against Talladega, eliminating them. But then we ran up against Southside of Birmingham, which went on to win the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which was the first South Asian team to ever do that.
Yeah. Now, back in that era, who took care of the field and stuff like that?
Mr. Harold Looney was our first field superintendent. And then a little later on, Mr. R.J. Pullen came on and did a terrific job.
Did you have volunteers helping them?
Oh, yeah, we all worked.
Yeah.
Jimmy Dale, we all worked with the Little League. We did everything you could do over there.
Wow.
I was a manager.
How'd you get started in that?
What?
How'd you get started other than seeing those guys at the tennis court? What brought you to Little League Baseball?
Well, I had always loved baseball. You know, my daddy and all the guys used to be in front of our drugstore listening to the Birmingham Barons back in the day, you know, and I love baseball, you know.
There was something just so rich and pure about Little League Baseball, and you know, Major League Baseball now is really commercialized and stuff like that. But Little League Baseball, when it started, you talked about all those kids trying out for the team. Even more than that the next year.
Oh yeah, we increased 100. First year 400, second year 500, and then we had to start the farm league, you know, and we had to continue to grow and grow.
How'd you become a manager?
Well, after I graduated from high school, you know, Coach Harris, you know, said there was an opening up with I believe it was the Red Sox. And I was there about 4 years, and then later on I was with the Cubs.
Who were some of the guys that you managed?
Oh, my God. Larry White.
Wow. Was he any good?
Yeah, terrific. You know what he did, you know. And Junior Black.
Old Beatty.
Beatty Black. Oh, my gosh. Larry Rayfield. Oh, man, I could go on. Evan Majors. Evan Majors, he was a big, strong boy, could hit those home runs. in later life, he became an educator, and for years he was superintendent of education in Shelby County. That was a success.
I'll be darned.
Oh my! We've had players become doctors and lawyers. Everything.
You became a pharmacist.
Ted Ham,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
a pharmacist.
Man,
He was a great player.
I remember Ted.
Ted, oh my
he died an untimely death
my,
for sure.
and died too early.
Great supporter of Sylacauga.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, when y'all had early on, who provided the uniforms? How did that come about?
Well, our sponsors, I gave you the
Yeah,
name of the sponsors there to start with, you know. And,
Uniform a little bit different then than they are now,
yeah.
right? Ray McDiarmid, our guest this morning, we're talking about the early years of Little League Baseball. Who is some, now you mentioned some names already, but who are some names that really stand out to you as, man, these guys are going to go somewhere. They're good baseball players.
Well, Harold Brooks, he'd be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
He was a
Talk a little bit about Harold.
Well, Harold was a shortstop for the Yankees. I believe he just played 1 year there, and he was a fire plug to start with. And then we had, let's see, so many. Let's see.
What was so special about Beatty Black?
Well, Beatty Black, he was a go-getter. He was a fire plug. He loved baseball.
In 1956 or 57, somewhere in there, Jimmy Holmes played on one of those teams.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Holmes played on the Athletics, and he was on the All-Stars. He was the only 11-year-old to play. The rest of them were 12 years old.
Yeah.
That was quite a team, you know. We won the state tournament in 1957. Mr. Leon Archer was the president. Grady Baker was a manager.
There's one of the pictures
Oh, yeah,
right there.
there it is. There it is, right there.
And some of those guys that played on that team for the Yankees, including Jimmy Toots Holmes. Who else played on that team?
All right, here's your lineup. George Cabnis
Wow.
was the catcher. Bobby Hatchett was first base. Buddy Milam was shortstop.
What was his batting average, Milam? I heard stories
They
about
told
that.
it was 547 or something like that for the year. Arnold Abrams was a pitcher and third base. Gary Ray later became a doctor, and just retired up in Anniston. Jimmy Bates.
I remember Jimmy.
Jimmy Bates,
Yeah.
yeah, he was on one of my teams. Robert Rumsey, center field.
Attorney here now.
Yeah.
Former district attorney.
District attorney, yeah. Mike Jones. And other members of that team were Jimmy Holmes, John Thomas, little John Thomas, Joey Knezovich, Gene Ham, and Big Fred Pate.
Gene Ham.
They came within 1 out of getting to go to the tournament in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But they wound up Biloxi, Mississippi 5, Sylacauga 3.
Now that's a dream come true for any little
my
leaguer
dream
going to the World Series.
Yeah.
You know,
One thing about Little League, when we first started, you know, back in those days, Sylacauga and Comer were bitter rivals, you know. But it brought boys together from Comer, Sylacauga. They played on the same team. A lot of them became lifetime friends, you know. And it was quite a thing, you know, back in them days.
You know, Sylacauga has had success down through the years in sending teams far up the ladder in the playoffs, too.
Oh, yeah. We've done well, you know.
Ray McDiarmid, who's been a registered pharmacist, some people say 100 years. Some say 50, 55, 60, but it's somewhere in between right there. But, you know, you got reams of old newspaper articles at the store that goes back not just for baseball, but for basketball and football.
Sports,
And it's good that we can sit and talk about yesteryear from Little League Baseball. And I'm supposed to have Ashton Fowler on tomorrow to talk about the controversial topic of Little League, and Cal Ripken, the city council, is going to sit down with them Wednesday night and try to work out something. Back in the day that Little League started, they were the dance in town, right?
Oh, yeah. Everybody flooded to watch the Little League games. We'd go in a tournament, man, we'd have a big following.
How was the fundraising done then, or was they fundraising?
Chicken. The first day of chicken. Chicken fry.
You fry a few chickens down through the years?
Yeah. I did it all, Jimmy.
Oh, well. What's some of the highlights that maybe you haven't talked about Little League Baseball?
Well, one year when Buddy Peters was president, we had a parade at the opening of the year. We had a band. We marched down Broadway onto the Little League field to start our first game.
Goodness. That had to impact a lot of people.
Oh, my goodness,
yeah. You followed Little League for a long time, and one thing about Little League that I have noticed in the last several years, at least I've been involved in it with my grandson, everybody plays.
Oh, yeah, that's part of it. It's all about the kids. It's all about the kids.
Yeah. Play 6-inning games, is that right?
6 innings.
And when Little League started, you mentioned the farm league. What was that?
Well, we know we had too many players for it. We didn't have enough.
What a great problem to have.
Oh, yeah. And then we had to start the farm league. Then later on, I think they started a knot-hole league, you know. And then girls softball. Then the Challenger League. It's something else.
Yeah. And anybody will tell you that knows that Little League Baseball that it has struggled as far as numbers the last several years. I remember not that long ago, there were 12, 13 teams in Little League Baseball when we were doing it on radio, and man, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
But you know, kids got a whole lot of different things that they can catch on to now than they did back in that day.
so much going on now.
Yeah. Getting back to Wayne Ham, we talked about how prolific he was as far as hitting home runs, but he's an all-around player, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, man, he had an arm. He was a pitcher. Nobody hit him.
Who were some other pitchers that kind of jump off the page to you?
Well, the first year, Coach Harris had the best two pitchers in the league, Ricky Jones and Wayne Ham.
Wow.
And Albert Pye could pitch.
As you said, he stacked that lineup, right?
He had a stacked lineup.
Yeah. When you became involved as a manager and they would have the draft, that was some serious times.
No, man, you had to study those players, watch them, that's part of it.
Yeah. One of the most dramatic games that you've seen in Little League?
Well, I've seen some pitching duels. I can't remember, exactly.
Yeah. But pitching's always the name of the game, I guess.
Oh, yeah. You had to have a good pitcher.
Yeah.
Couple of them.
Yeah. Ray McDiarmid, our guest this morning, talking Little League Baseball. And again, this story written by Gertrude Tyson. It was released on Thursday, April 22nd, 1954. It said, "Springtime is baseball time, and baseball time in Sylacauga means Little League. This time last year, several local businessmen were anxiously awaiting, with tongue in cheek, for the opening of the first season of Little League Baseball. Turn the clock back to that opening season. Did y'all have opening day ceremonies and stuff then?"
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started. Yeah, that started out.
Do you remember what year you started managing?
Well, 1955.
You ever get tossed out of the game?
No.
Did you know the rules?
Yeah, I studied the rules, yeah.
Yeah. When you were managing, what did you try to instill in those kids?
Well, fair play, and learn how to win, learn how to lose too, be a gracious loser, Yeah.
What else can you mention about Little League Baseball that I haven't thrown out at you this morning?
Well, I had a wonderful time, you know, during my years. I met a lot of the managers. Those people I was with were some of the finest people I'd ever been around.
Yeah.
And the young kids, some of them are still my friends today. Still my friends today.
Ray McDiarmid, our guest this morning, talking about the early days of Little League Baseball from its inception in 1952, first year of organized play in 1953 for Sylacauga. And you've seen and read stories about Little League and Cal Ripken and stuff like that, but you're a purist for Little League Baseball.
Right, right.
Love Little League
Love
Baseball.
Little League, yeah.
Can it survive and be fruitful here in Sylacauga now?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay. All right. Ray McDiarmid, our guest this morning. Ray, we appreciate you coming by and appreciate you bringing these clippings and pictures. And if you guys want to see more, you can go by the drugstore tomorrow. He's off today, but he'll be there at the store tomorrow. And you can talk baseball with Ray McDiarmid, who knows a lot about Little League Baseball here in the local area. Ray, appreciate you coming this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy Dale.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
We got more coming up on Daybreak right after this.